Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to panel discussion about the topic, Advancing Cybersecurity with AI and Machine Learning, Opportunities and Challenges.
I don't want to waste too much of your time. I'll just go straight to the point, quickly introducing myself. My name is A.Mahdy. I am here representing my startup, started in Finland a few years ago. I'm here representing only myself, not representing any company or any affiliation with any work that I have done before. Quickly, background about myself. I used to lead a team of AI engineers for medical application. So that's about how critical it can be in terms of security. I just want to get to know a little bit about our guests as well here in this panel. So how about we do it this way? I ask you to introduce yourself and tell us what you have done in the field of AI or cybersecurity or related topics, and one-line answer to this very interesting question, which is, what is the definition of security in your point of view? Now, security for some people might sound like to go home safe. It can be not to get a physical harm, right? That's security as well. To not steal my wallet, that's security as well, right? So what is security in your opinion? Can we start with you?
Yeah. So my name is Gytis, as I've been working mainly in financial institutions or banks. Maybe my security understanding is a bit spoiled, but I tried to think about this kind of what is the security, and I'm thinking that mostly, from my perspective, it's enabling good guys to overperform bad guys and let the good guys to do the business stronger than bad guys, without actually jeopardizing their ability to do so. So you have to kind of stay invisible. So when developers or users clicking buttons, navigating through websites, operating software, they have no questions. Am I doing right thing here? So I think that's what security should do.
It's great. So my name is Gabriel. I'm a software developer for long years now. And somehow all of my career was around cybersecurity products. But for the last year, I'm working on a product which is a cross-point between developers and security. And I'm focusing in authorization or permissions that we give to the users in application. And back to the question about what is security for me. So I think security is mostly about minimize the uncertainty in our applications or in our software. In the crosspoint with AI is unstructured. It's full with uncertainty. So it became like a new world when it came to security, how we take the unstructured data and actually secure it to create more certainty in the applications that we create.
Amazing, thank you.
Yeah, well, I completely agree. So my name is Krasimir Kotsev, and I'm the founder of Kikimora.io and Soul Cyber. The more interesting one is Kikimora.io, which is a vulnerability management platform and orchestration tool. I've been dedicating my last few years on this one. I started doing cybersecurity when I was 14, so that's like 15, 16 years already. I think security is managing the risk, because nowadays a company should not pay more in cybersecurity than their data is worth it. Imagine you have hundreds of systems and thousands of vulnerabilities, right? How do you actually manage everything? Well, security is not about fixing it all. You can't. That's simply an answer. So it's about managing the small risk and reducing the risk to a level which is completely manageable by the organization. How? With the help of AI, I think by actually utilizing all the different sources we have about the priority of our assets in the company, about the current level of hardening of our systems, about threat intelligence feeds so that we can enrich our current vulnerability static data. So I think we can use AI to connect all the dots out there, all the sources, and make our data meaningful to the specific organization that we're trying to protect.
Okay. Hello, my name is Krzysztof, or you can call me Chris if it's too difficult to pronounce. It usually is. And I'm a solutions architect and chief of data engineering department in Zibia, Poland. Zibia is a global company from doing consulting and software development in any technology, starting from no-code to all the coding solutions and these kind of things. But my background is primarily on software development and DevOps. and I'm mostly focused in my security area in data privacy. By the way, tomorrow I talk about data privacy in the cloud, but this means that I'm also defining the security in a little bit different way. I'm not saying that your definitions are wrong, don't get me wrong, but this is like a complementary definition when I'm focused basically on the user's security so that they feel safe, so the good guys are secure in our applications, in our pages, and using AI to provide or to deliver the security for all the users in the applications is my primary goal.
Amazing, thank you. So I noticed a pattern here. Many of you talked about data security in terms of how to structure the data and findings and how to understand. I mean, we all have logs, but can I know in this log that there is an issue? So can someone shed a light on actually what is that exactly and what AI can help us with that?
Maybe I could talk a little bit more about this one. And when we're talking about AI, machine learning, it's usually something people think like it's kind of happening automatically. Everything is set up, etc., and it's everywhere in every cell phone on your computer or something. But as far, at least my experience when I was working in quite big banks in Europe, it's kind of barely visible for regular user, and people very careful in financial institutions to get into AI about the privacy topics, about actually what the outcome. Can you rely on, let's say, testing application with code with a AI? Is it trustworthy? But it could help. It could be a good start. It could be you can reveal some things. My main topic about, let's say, coming back to the logs is that mainly I would say not even call it AI, but machine learning, where you're actually learning the habits of the users, and then by reading code you can detect anomalies. That's something already exists. You can't argue that. It's in most of the SIEM tools that you can have machine learning. But what I saw happening in big security corporates that are offering tools and actually developing them, at least it happened like half a year ago, they're looking into tailoring security for each individual user based on their behaviors. So I think lots of value of that when you're thinking about security baseline configuration. So it's something that you're giving for all as a minimum, and then uplifting, let's say, something working with credit cards, and we have uplifting hit security. But then you have second baseline, which you need to manage, and third, and then the legal department, HR, you need to different levels of security. What AI does is actually analyzes the behavior of each user and applies dedicated security policy based on what he used to do last month. And if he does something very differently next month, he might get trigger alert. So that's why I think it's kind of useful to have this combination of machine learning and AI in analyzing logs. And
that's a very important point. When you said tailoring per user, are we talking here about a human person tailoring for each user?
It might be different topics, how you're setting up your security. If that's user-centric, it might be per user. If that's data-centric, let's say which data you operate, it might apply security controls on data assets. Like if you have PCI DSS servers, it might be tailored to those. And it might be user per entity within identity and access management system. So it depends how you're monitoring, and of course, question how security vendor is going to develop that. I'm not involved in that, unfortunately.
Amazing. But in terms of logs, again, if we go back, I have a bunch of logs and I have a bunch of data. I still want to. Can I use AI today to tell me, okay, this data sounds like there is a bad actor, there bad behavior, someone's trying to attack me. What are the tools, or what can I do to understand this?
Yeah.
So I think we should not actually focus on the tools, but rather on the data sets, because yes, AI ML enables us to have a lot of data from different sources. So in the past, we were only able to detect anomalies based on some static data set. But now the AI actually allows that you pull information from a lot of different thread feed sources, a lot of different logs out there in the network. You can actually pull data from the users. So if I'm having some traffic right now, I have an application which is running and is doing something, I'm generating traffic, and this traffic goes somewhere with a third party. So right now, with the help of ML, I can actually collect every single user's data, and I can look for some anomalies in everybody's data, which was not possible in the past. When we didn't have machine learning, we could only rely on static databases with weaknesses, vulnerabilities, and anomalies, right? So right now, basically, if I'm browsing something on my phone, I'm generating very useful data, and usually I give my consent for this data to be analyzed by third parties, including threat-intel feed providers. So now I can have a realistic data, almost real-time data about a vulnerability, a malicious code, something which is infecting my system. This will be replicated in a matter of minutes to all the third-party vendors out there. So if I'm using threat-intel tools and log like CM solutions, they are so accurate already, and almost they work on the go. So as something is happening, it can already be replicated to my network to protect me. So yeah.
Amazing. So when you mentioned real-time detection, I imagine that we are relying here on 100% on AI or an automated machine. Now, the famous question, chicken or egg, how can I know that this system doing AI in itself is not attacking me? How can I make sure that this model in itself is safe?
Well, you always have some fault tolerance, so you can never be 100% certain about this. However, how ML works is it works with voting. So if you have quorum on some decision, then apparently this is the reality. This is the valid answer. Yes, there is some mistakes sometimes, but if 95% of the users are not detecting this system as a rogue device, an attacking system, then I should consider it a safe system, right? It might be in this 5% tolerance. It might be that sometimes this system will be a malicious one, but in reality, it's actually helping me so much more compared to the impact I can have from these 5%. So we should apply the 80-20 rule. I can save such a pain by actually utilizing this technology, and even though sometimes the results will not be accurate, I'm still gonna benefit from the machine learning technology. So I think yes, you can never be certain because it's a matter of voting. So if you find a way to hack the voting mechanism so that you can change the quorum, well, yes, you can make a real system look as a malicious one or the opposite.
I want to connect both. So the point that you mentioned. So you mentioned that it's hard to adopt AI for some, especially finance system. And you mentioned the dangers of the bad parts of AI. And that's remind me the way that we move to the cloud, right? So when we move from on-prem to the cloud, there was a consumption that financial and healthcare system will be the latest to move because they're afraid from that. They don't know what is it. And we see that the same with AI. For many people, especially non-technology people, AI seems like a magic, like a miracle. They don't understand how things working. And I think as cybersecurity expert, what we need to do is invest in education. What is behind this AI? At the end, this is data. This is algorithms that runs on this data. There are no magic there. There is hallucination. There are things that are not true, but there are no magic. It's at the end, it's science, it's math, right? And the same as I love this meme about the cloud. It's not the cloud, it's just someone else's computer, right? And the same we need to do about AI. It's not AI, it's about data, it's about data sets. It's about things that we can expect, that we can monitor, that we can detect, that we can predict. And we need to look at the way that is help us, right? In the way that we can enhance security with that and not afraid from the vulnerabilities, because it's just about educating better how to look at these architectures.
But I would like to add something to what you said, because it is quite important to say that everything is about the quality of the data for machine learning. It's not, like you said, it's not a magic black box doing something. It's just a model built on the data. And if the data are correct, I mean, if they're correctly, like we say, labeled, so we know what is actually malicious and what is not, then it's okay. But there is additional problem to that, because we can easily expect that there are out there a lot of tools that are doing this kind of detection or prevention mechanisms like out of the box. So we just put a tool into our landscape and it works, it will detect all the malicious things, and then we can sleep well. We can like fire all the security guys because we have this tool. But that's not true. The thing is that usually these tools are built on data provided by someone else.
Correct.
And your systems, or our systems, are usually specific. It's not like everyone builds the system in the same way. And I had a nice conversation with one of my colleagues in a company building a financial system, and he said he would like to have a tool that detects the potential attacks on their financial data. And he would like to have a tool that does at least a triage to say, this is super malicious, this you can leave for later, or this is like 10%, it's an attack. But he had to build the model himself, because the like off-the-shelf tools did not provide a good quality, the quality that he expected at the end of the day. So my conclusion is that once we understand what this magic black box is, and once we understand how to build models on top of the data, once we investigate the data, understand them, make the correct labeling, or doing a lot of things beforehand, then we can build a model, which is additional task, and then we should also, or we must basically monitor how it works in reality. Does it detect the malicious attacks all the time, or maybe it's degraded over time, or something like that? So it's all about data and all about the math that you mentioned, Gabriel.
Yeah, I think that's actually a great point, and I think it's a good time to emphasize a tool that actually could help with that. So there is, for LLM, there is RAG, Retrieval Augmented, I can't remember the G, but the RAG layer could actually help you, even if you have an LLM model, if you have a model that you're not sure what data it was trained for, if you're using RAG on top of it, you can get the augmented resources for this one. And I think for everyone who tried to get the unstructured data and want to make sure about security, so Chris' point are great. Make sure your data has the right quality, and you not must have sure that the LLM model quality is good, because that the predictable result could just make you the sense of the quality of the data. If you want to add another layer, so RAG is a great point to start from.
Yeah, sure. The G is for generation. So it's retrieval augmented generation. Yeah, but you could use the first point, and the most important one is for me always to emphasize that AI and ML, basically what you Gytis has pointed out, is machine learning is something different from Gen AI. In terms of undercovers, Gen AI is machine learning, but usually when we try to make a prediction or a threat detection mechanisms, we build our models or utilize the ready-to-use models, but we can fine-tune them in a simple way, or maybe not simple, but it's like understandable for us. While for Gen AI, we usually use the third-party services where we only send the query and get the results. We basically, most of us don't build LLM, so large language models, because it's super expensive, requires tons of data, much more than for the typical machine learning model. But the thing is that if you provide the augmentation to the prompt, so you say something like, for instance, where I'm trying to do these kind of things, this is my Terraform script defining my infrastructure. Please try to predict where the potential threat surfaces in this infrastructure is. You can try this out. This is pretty easy if you have a model which has quite a long context. This is retrieval augmented generation at some point. But the thing is that this model, we have to understand that these large language models are basically built on the knowledge that was previously on the internet or somewhere else, which is a public one. But so the answer will be based on our context, so on our infrastructure description and the knowledge that is available for public. So the suggestions might be good, but you cannot over rely on these answers. You have to analyze it yourself as well, because these answers will be basically what you could find on Stack Overflow once. And now I usually said that ChatGPT is a Stack Overflow on steroids, so this is pretty much the thing. So you could use these tools, but don't over rely on them. Just check yourself everything. But this is just a good start for using these kind of patterns that you mentioned.
Yeah, right. I found a pattern here where basically everyone is putting a percentage. So my question is, are we there yet? I want to clarify. I think most of us here are asking this question. Can we just go tomorrow and rely on AI? But now all the experts are telling me there is a percentage of risk. I mean, let's face it. I'll go to a bank or financial institution and tell them, well, using AI, you will have less cost, more efficiency and everything, but there is 1% chance that you will get attacked and lose money. Do you think they will accept this? What can I do in this 1% or 10%? Every one of you mentioned a percentage of risk. So if I want tomorrow to go and apply AI for security, what are the mitigation for those unhandled risks?
Just a quick sentence. Everything we do to avoid risk, not to remove it. You cannot do that.
Yeah. So I would say that there is quite simple assessment. I would say if you have 1%, what does it mean for a company? Will that break you? How fast and how often? So when you're evaluating or assessing, applying the criticality, then if you want to apply mitigation actions, human person next to the AI, skilled human person might help things out. And when I'm thinking about what you've been talking is actually, maybe I'm not that like in scientific matter related to AI, but it's often next to cybersecurity. And when I see something relying purely on AI, I don't see that secure. I always think that AI is the data that you don't have. So that's where you could benefit and leverage AI, is actually you creating something, investing your work and your data, and in parts you're injecting what AI actually enriching it in capability-wise. It's advising you, it's adjusting the code, it's suggesting fixes, something like that, not creating for you. It can only inject something, like you can request, what do you think about my code? What do you think about this feature, about this function? And that can help. And same security detection, like what do you think about this alert? Can you tell me more about this CVE, about this vulnerability? And then you're getting enrichment, and suddenly you can understand that because it talks in cowboy language with you how this threat can be exploited, etc. So I think that's how you can look at it. It's enrichment. It's not.
So your answer is we are not there yet. We still need a human factor.
To
check the results.
To check results of
manually analyze and take decisions.
Yeah, I would say at least you're manually creating your checks, and then you can automate your checks. And then like, yeah, we're in line with our policy, we're in line with risk appetite. But purely, no, I wouldn't. At least not in the bank. I wouldn't rely on AI.
So not yet. We are not.
I would allow to support.
Are you using something else?
So my question on this one is quite short and simple. So without utilizing AI, let's talk about signature detection, about detecting events and anomalies. Without utilizing your AI, you have this amount of data with 100% certainty.
Yeah.
If you are using ML, it means that you're collecting data from here and there and the other source. So you're collecting a bunch of data. So you have that much data with 96% certainty. So I'm asking, is it better for me to know about with 100% accuracy that these are the potential risks for my company? Or is it better to have 95% certainty, but from something much bigger, and I have so much more data which I can make meaningful to my organization? Yes, there is always going to be the 1% tolerance, but in this 1%, yes, mistakes happen. But it's so much better for me to know that I have that amount of risk, and eventually there will be this amount that it could be fake data, than knowing just this one with 100% certainty.
Amazing.
Yeah, I want to add to that a question. Do you think that applications with non-AI are safe, are free of security bugs. Right? The minute you write your first line of code, you create security vulnerabilities. And the answer for that, it doesn't matter if it's software, if it's machine learning, data science, AI, is about educating developers. I have a story. I ordered a flight a week ago, and I did it in the airline company website, and I tried to pay with American Express, but American Express CVV, the numbers on the card are 4 numbers, not 3. The card is 3 numbers, it's 4. And I tried to pay it, and it blocked my pay because it said the number is not valid. I need to put 3 digits. So I opened the developer tools, as any good developers, and I found that they are using a third-party fraud detection provider that blocked me to pay. So the fraud detection provider create a security vulnerability. So I notified them, and I have a friend there, and someone called me and say, it's not a bug. And I told them, yes, this is a bug. If I cannot pay, or if I can pass it, because I passed by it, I paid, I found the way to pass the fraud detection front-end validation, right? So developers...
I actually expected this, like when you said you opened the developer tools, I definitely said, okay, you increased the character count or something.
Yeah, so the thing is, security is about educating. So developers that educated about security create better applications. So we need to invest more time in educating developers on the security vulnerabilities with AI, and then we can get it involved better in the application. And I want to get for a second to, so Chris made a little distinction between machine learning, which is more about doing magics on data, and Gen AI, which is more about doing things that impossible. One of the distinction between machine learning and Gen AI is the consumer of it. So usually when you do data science, when you do machine learning, you know about data, you know about algorithm, you know about how to process data. And then you're more aware to the dangerous point that you have there, right? The problem with Gen AI, the problem with modern AI, is that the consumer, they're not aware about what could be the security issues. And this is why, in one hand, it's getting hard to adopt that, because the usual developer, some of us even don't know about security in just regular programming languages. They're really afraid of that. So we need to first make sure that the data itself in the machine learning phase is safe enough, but we need to invest time in educate how to be more secure in the Gen AI, in the generation after.
Yeah, the problem, well, maybe not the problem, but the challenge is that usually when you have a data science team that develops the machine learning models, they know what they do. Mm-hmm. And the people that use Gen AI, usually they don't know what they use.
Exactly.
And I found one interesting Splunk report that said that 91% of the security guys or cybersecurity teams are using Gen AI at some point in some form, maybe just generating the Terraform code to create Aurora MySQL. I don't care, but this is like they are using it. But at the same time, 65% of them do not absolutely understand how it works under the hood. And this is like a typical one, because under the hood of the Gen AI algorithms is a typical machine learning models. We all heard, or probably all of us heard, about neural networks, which is like an algorithm, one of the machine learning algorithms. Under the covers, Gen AI are neural networks, is the same, but the interesting part is how they are architecture, how they are designed to do these magic things that we think are magic. So it's like not the time for a...
But do you think that users should actually, who are using Gen AI, have to understand how it works and where data is coming from? Do they really need to have deep understanding that there's machine learning behind it?
I don't think it should be a deep understanding. I think it should be a conceptual understanding of how it works, or because people usually... There are a lot of discussions on the internet. Will AI kill us? Will AI replace all the developers in the world? Will AI rule the world, and these kind of things? And well, this is not true, because if you understand how Gen AI works, you know, this is just an probabilistic mechanisms predicting single words one by one, and that's all.
And I have a comment into this one. I'm not sure, have you heard, but the EU just passed the regulation, EU AI Act, which actually is much stronger than GDPR when you think, and it's very much related to the privacy, about person safety, and especially about modern warfare. That the AI, Gen AI can't create contents, seek or identify persons one after another in CCTVs, etc. All about those protections. So those cannot be produced, and I think that's a response to what you're saying, that they not destroy us. No, other people destroy us because AI instructed them to do us.
Exactly.
So
Gen AI is a tool.
Yeah. So
but this is the same with software development. You can create an application that allows you to book flight with your 4 digits CCTV, but at the same time you can create a virus that will like make a ransomware or something like that. So this is just a tool, nothing more.
Okay, I think at this point we cannot skip a very important topic about ethical and responsibility when using these kind of things. So I want to just share quickly a quick story about a bank. By the way, it's a real story. A bank that wanted to enforce their security. So what they do is basically whenever you open the application and you start to use it on your phone, basically they open the camera to check that the face of the person in front of them is actually the biometric information of the user that they have on file, which sounds like super safe. That's making me feel secure because I know now that nobody else on the planet can use the bank except myself. Now, think about it one more time. That is actually not ethical. They didn't ask for permission to open my camera. What if, okay, I'll let your imagination. What if, right? So, and I have no idea what they are doing with my photo. I mean, they will tell me, okay, I'm just using your photo to build and train my system, but did I allow you? Did I accept that? Now, believe it or not, I don't have numbers, but most countries in the world, whenever you go to an ATM, you're actually being filmed, and they are actually filming you even without telling you. So this is actually a habit happening everywhere. Now let's cast it into our system. Let's cast it into building and using AI. What is responsible? What is the ethics of using AI when we are trying to secure our users with good intention?
So now maybe repeat a little bit. Your directive that is instructed is actually, you either have a consent, that's the one, or either have a directed purpose. So meaning, if you searching for criminal, the same way identifying user in front of ATM, you do not identifying who came, but you authenticating that came the exact person. So if Bob came to the ATM, but you're looking for Jeff, you're just checking, it's not Jeff, it's not Jeff, it's not Jeff. That's Jeff, allowed to purchase. So you can't identify. That's not ethical. You can't put the name next to the random person who just walks by, but you can say with AI, is that correct person? That's a match with the person who gave me consent? That's ethical. So
and what is the risk if I identify?
Privacy risk. You might get fined, etc. That's a protection of privacy of a person. So it's in Europe. If we're talking about US or China, it might be a very different conversation in total.
Okay, let's not go politics. Yeah.
I actually wanted to expand on the China matter, because what you explained is indeed
Here we go.
the case in Europe and like the local countries.
Let's keep it country agnostic. So there are other countries.
A country in Asia.
other countries, not mentioning China. Not so there is indeed other countries where you have an AI scoring system. So if you are walking on the streets, you get detected, and you have a certain score applied to your behavior. If you're helping an old woman to cross the road, then you get positive points. If you are overtaking someone or driving on a red signal, you get bad points. At the end, you have to pay bigger or smaller insurance depending on your scoring system. So it's like a behavior-based scoring system, and I think that's scary already. When you combine it with the capabilities of machine learning, that's already getting scary. But I think for the rest of the use cases, am I allowing to be identified am I allowing the application to use my camera? Yes, I do. By installing the application, I actually agree to using this application according to their terms and conditions. And there is a policy of use, and I accept the policy of use, and only then I can start using the application. How about 20 years ago when you were providing your ID card so that they can copy your ID card, right? Eventually with your ID card, a copy of your ID card or a passport, they can go and have a credit on your name. So is it not the same? It's just another dimension now. We're still using data, someone's we're still authorizing someone by some criteria, but it's just a more modern criteria nowadays.
And
So you're saying I have to always read the terms and services till the end?
All the 965 pages, yes.
and
Yeah, so I'm sorry for interruption, but just regarding this point, I feel like even if I authorize the application to open my camera, I need every single time that they tell me that I'm about to open your camera now. So I think that's a European thing, but let's not go there.
Yeah, it's always a matter of usability versus security. So I can imagine what the usability will be if you have to consent every single time.
Yeah.
But I think to comment on this one, I think it's ethicality of usage is very much driven by our regulations, where you operate, what kind of regulations applies for your industry. Is it card industry? Is it military, etc. So, but sometimes this ethical versus legal is not the same sometimes. So,
Okay.
so
I think we're almost on time. So anyone else want to add about responsibility and ethics for AI?
I might add that I'm an engineer, so I'm not about that.
I'll just say that they mentioned the point that is scary. I'll mention that not AI is scary again. People are scary, but also AI open a lot of opportunities to being better humans, right? You see the jobs that AI created. You see that literally people improving their life in poor countries by being prompt engineers. It's not funny. It's create opportunities, create mobility, it's create an opportunity and a chance for a better life. So it's not just scary. It's also have another side for being more ethic, for being better persons to each other. So I'm full with hope.
I second that. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Do we have time to take questions or? Okay, so I think it is that point when we look at the audience again, a full room. That's amazing. And I'm pretty happy to take your questions if you have any. Yes, please go ahead.
oh, really?
How can I read that? No way I can read that.
Can you?
Let me try. So what about ransomware attacks that bypass normal user access security? How can AI-enhanced security help to prevent such attacks? So isn't AI already can create a ransomware intelligently for me? So that's the beginning. All right, so who wants to take this question? How can AI enhance security?
Shall I talk about security or you talk about access?
Yeah, I think there are two perspectives for this question. The first one is we are going to deal with more and more non-human identities, right? We're speaking about AGI, we're speaking about the machine or the robots or whatever it is. They are already there. They're already here, right? In my application, I have identities that are not human. And we need just, to go over it, to understand the patterns, to understand the thing, and understand the abstract meaning of identities that we haven't built security mechanism for them, right? So you mentioned biometrics, that a way, to create more and more protect from the access perspective, and I'll let Gytis answer from the security perspective.
AI will not prevent itself. That's what's my opinion. There are races between AI-generated phishing mails and scam versus AI protection in the email, which at the moment seems like in parity. You can't say that one or another wins, so you can't, with AI, detect that message that you got is AI generated. That's almost impossible at the moment. However, AI could prevent, as I mentioned, by tailoring protective tools, EDRs, and then enabling operating system or EDR to not allow automatic alteration of the folders, data, etc. So you can't encrypt them just because you got there. So that's how AI just can enable for particular user those controls, because he never touch, I don't know, operating system drives, or it doesn't touch them in automated manner, only manual, just clicking documents, etc. That's allowed. Automated, no. So AI can enable protection for user. That's how I would do that.
And on the other side, when AI is used for attacking, then it can also adapt. So a malicious code nowadays can adapt quickly based on the protection. So if the malicious code is getting stopped somewhere by the EDR, for example, then it's getting back to the command and control server, and it's modifying itself. It's mutating on the go, so that it can go undetected and infect your system. So it's always going to be a matter of...
Not a good news,
always
right?
Be a race. But I'll be talking about this one during my lecture later today.
All right. Thank you for your answers. I'll check quickly if there are other questions. Oh, there is another one. GenAI. Well, yeah, definitely we need to talk about GenAI at some point. So GenAI is also improving for circumventing security measures. Think generative deep fakes against biometrics. What do you think about this cat and mouse game?
Well, the thing is that it is the same story. It's always like we have some stuff that can generate faces of people that do not exist, and then they can be used for doing some security attacks. But at the same time, we are developing models, GenAI-based models that are able to detect if this face was artificially generated. But you never know. It's like I have always tell one interesting story when we started to generate some content, and then we tried to check if it's AI generated. And some detectors, of course, existed on the market, but when we put the text AI generated, it said it's 95% AI generated. But when we just removed one comma, it said it's 100% human written, because it was a mistake. So it assumed that it's a human generated thing. So this is a race. Of course, there are new methods, new architectures, not only based on LLMs, but for the graphics, there are different algorithms. I could speak about that for 2 hours without a break, so don't tempt me. But the thing is that we always try to create new algorithms that are able to detect if something was AI generated, and then apply the general security rules for that. Because at the end of the day, both Gen AI and ML is just a tool, nothing more.
And also, yeah, maybe.
Are you trying to instruct attackers to modify and make mistakes?
Yes, and this
so that they can fool the system.
Let me stay on the safe side, but yes, this is usually.
I don't think this is a taboo to discuss this, because we need to not understand.
Sure, but it is usually used for trying to cheat on to try to overcome the difficulties or the algorithms that are trying to detect if something is AI generated. So we just introduce small mistakes and try to make these algorithms stupid. But at the end of the day, the creators of these algorithms are trying to be to find these kind of things and say, well, they are trying to cheat us, so this is like a race.
So maybe one more comment, just back to basics. Add password next to your face recognition, and suddenly, yeah, that's him, but he doesn't know password. Multi-factor authentication, I think, would help.
Yeah. Help. Amazing. I think now I can see the questions here. So
yeah, that's very convenient.
Yeah. Can we move to the next question if there are any? That was
That's it.
That's the
Okay.
last.
Oh, we're over time. Okay. So I think at this point I would love to thank you so much for joining us and sharing your expertise with us today. That was great to have you, and thanks for the great audience and for your attention. With that, let's conclude and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.